prosecutor on the Oklahoma City bombing case.
Sir, they're so heavily embedded in the media now, it's laughable. It's a joke. I mean, for instance, in this next film, and I thank you for the call, I'm going to show you how the FBI and CIA were tracking mainline journalists like Brit Hume back in the 70s and 80s. Brit Hume. Who knows if they ever compromised them, but you would assume so. Why are they tracking these journalists? Well, they're tracking these journalists so that they can compromise them and hopefully turn them to their sides, have them propagandize for them, and not ask tough questions. And I think Dan Rather is probably the best example. Not a huge fan of Dan Rather, but Dan Rather did start sticking up for what he believed in, did start doing a little bit more hardcore stories. Has quite a few hardcore stories regarding 9/11 that didn't get a lot of play, that kind of fell by the wayside later. And even the war. And what does he get? He gets ostracized from the community. You've never seen a more distinguished newsman just get kicked in the back, stabbed, if you will. And who picks him up? Well, Mark Cuban picks him up. And Mark Cuban was the only person who was considering putting Loose Change out into theaters, and then you find out that the Texas IRS is coming after him, saying that they'll bring him up on charges because they don't like what he's doing politically. That's mature. That's how we roll. And those documents are out there. Those emails are out there, but it doesn't exist. Sean Hannity says so. It's the Infowarrior with Jason Bermas. Be back after this. Infowars.com, prisonplanet.tv. And as we went to break, if you were watching prisonplanet.tv, you got to see the scary demon horse with the red veins and the blue skins and the glowing eyeballs that is directly outside of the Denver National Airport. There he is, David Rockefeller's personal mayor, if you will. There he is, riding to the apocalypse. Why would they have an apocalyptic horse outside of an airport? Doesn't make a lot of sense until you start to realize that the guys at the top are into the occult. They're into Luciferianism. They're into the demonic garbage. And that should alarm a lot of people out there that think that Newt Gingrich is a conservative. When he goes with these old men out to Sonoma, California, and worships an owl god to kick off the Cremation of Care and the Bohemian Grove 2-week Fun Fest. The Happy Fun Fest, if you will. All right, let's go to the next caller. Steve in St. Louis, you're on the air. What's up, Steve?
Hi, Jason. Good evening. I have an interesting experience to relay. Maybe it's not that big a deal, but I'm one of probably a minority now who doesn't own a computer. So I was informed that I could call in a phone number local to your area there in Texas and listen to your show and also Alex's show, and I've been doing that. Mm-hmm. What has happened invariably is after so many minutes into the phone call, the connection just dropped, and I'd have to dial back in. Mm-hmm. Never had this experience on any other phone calls, including long distance. I have unlimited long distance, domestic long distance, and never had. You know,
it could just be the phone lines at GCN or InfoWars. I know that there are people that call the customer service desk quite a bit about the phone lines to come in. Could just get overdrawn. I know that we have bandwidth issues sometimes, and just last week, I had probably 5 people stacked up on the line. All of a sudden, everybody dropped, and I had to wait a good 15 or 20 minutes. I mean, we do the best we can here, sir. I would encourage get the computer. I know it's a high-tech spy device at this point, but it's also, another piece to empower us if we want to use that. They want to use it to enslave us, but the unlimited knowledge that is now available on the internet, like I said, I'm kind of glad I live in this time period because I now have the ability to go down somewhere, bring my phone with me if it's internet savvy, and pull up any kind of document that's on a government website, any bill so I can read it word for word, any video on YouTube. I'd say get with the information age, and the podcasts. I mean, the Alex Jones podcast, the Infowarrior podcast, they rank really high on iTunes. They're getting out to people that wouldn't normally check us out. So get on the computer, man. It's a lot better. It's a lot more higher quality, and you get to see some of the prisonplanet.tv stuff the next day over at YouTube. I thank you for the call, Steve. All right, from one Steve to the next. Steve in New York, you're on the line.
Yeah, what's up, Jason?
How you doing?
I want to talk about the taser incident in all these states all around the country. Mm-hmm. I'm from New York, and the force continuum here in New York is taser is number 1, used at first, pepper spray second, baton third, gun last. So taser is number 1, and no matter what you do, you're covered by, indemnified by your entity, whatever you work for. And that's in New York. It's a very liberal state, so I'm assuming that's if that state trooper in Oklahoma used a taser on that EMT driver, he'd be totally covered. That's
no, I believe that. And to me, it seems only commonplace that it should actually be, well, first option would be pepper spray. Pepper spray truly is non-lethal. I've never heard of anybody dying from pepper spray. Number 2 would be the baton for me, not because I want to see somebody get their jawline knocked out, but usually a baton to the leg is a little safer than, say, a taser to the body. There are people that have heart attacks and die. They don't make it. I'm amazed that 72-year-old grandmother in Austin took it as well as she did. Then 3...
Yeah, go ahead. Point just about New York. Sure. Yesterday, I heard on local news here on Long Island. It's up in the Senate. It was yesterday that they're gonna a bill to have vaccinations put on children 18 and younger without the parents' knowledge.
Wow.
In high schools. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm trying to get you. I'm not on MySpace, so I really don't know. But ask my wife to do it. I'm like, I don't know how to do it. But
I'll check it out. I'll check out that headline. I thank you for the call.
It's in Albany.
Okay, it's in Albany. Okay, well that's very, very scary.
All
right, I'll do that. In fact, can you bring that up, Jaron? Why don't you do a search on that right now? Albany vaccination law, and it's mandatory. It's basically a permission to vaccinate children 18 and younger without telling the parents. I'm very interested in that. Albany seems to be a hotbed for these type of things. They're trying to make you register all your ammunition in Albany County. Luckily, people are standing up. We often get calls here. What can I do? I can't do anything. I don't have any power. No, you do have power. You need to tell your neighbors, your friends, and family. Then you actually need to go out to the city council board and say, no. It's a word you need to learn, folks. It's the Infowarrior with Jason Bermas, Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.tv.